Jake, should we go back to the beach?
Right on time, Jake.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I'll be totally honest. Yeah. It was the first night of Tuesday night golf because I so
There you go.
they set handicaps, so I had to be there for at least half the course. Well, my plan was. Thank you. 6:30. 6:47 he rolls up. So I had all my stuff in my locker. I'm like, not tonight.
Good evening and welcome to the May 16th, 2023 Salem City Council meeting. It will now come to order. We will have the invocation given by Devin Gray from Allegheny Wesleyan, and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Jesus, we thank you for this day that you've given to us, for this opportunity to come together. Jesus, we ask you to give the members here wisdom as they would discuss the business of the city of Salem. Lord, would the decisions that we made be for the good of the citizens and for your honor and for your glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Favor?
Present.
Mr. Gano?
Here.
Mr. Newman?
Present.
Mr. Knoll?
Present.
Mr. Pleggy?
Here.
Mr. Stockman?
Present.
Mr. Zellers?
Here.
7 members.
Thank you. Everyone has received minutes from the May 1st council meeting. Are there any additions, changes, or deletions? No. We do not have any visitors or petitions for this evening. Moving on to the report of city officials, Mayor Dickey.
Thank you. I would just like to say that on Memorial Day, there will be a parade with wreath placing, I can't say that ever, wreath placing here at City Hall at 9 a.m. and then again after the parade at Hope Cemetery. There will also be July 3rd fireworks with events prior to that in Memorial Park. And you have packets in front of you about some of those events by the parks. And if you want to sponsor an event that day, they would greatly appreciate that. The city started an Adopt a Street plan just recently. So the whole intent is to clean up our streets, make our city look nicer. A lot of places do that, adopt a street and things like that. If you have an organization, a family group, any kind of a group or organization that would like to adopt a street, just fill out the forms that are online on our city website, and we would be glad to supply you with the safety vests and the garbage, the trash bags, and you would get a plaque with the name of your organization saying that you have adopted that street. There's some forms though to fill out for liability and for rules. On June 1st at 1 p.m., there will be a renaming of our Salem Post Office to the Howard A. Tibbs Post Office. This was actually, you hear about this all the time, being an act of Congress. It was actually an act of Congress to get this renamed, and so the dedication will be June 1st. There will be a lot of our dignitaries here, our congressmen, our senators, our representatives. There will be color guard here unless there would happen to be a funeral at the last minute, and several people here. So you're all invited to attend that and make a showing for the city of Salem. Thank you.
Any questions for Mayor Dickey? No? Thank you. The Law Director, Attorney Zellers.
Thank you, Madam President. I don't have any formal report this evening, but I was happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Safety and Services Director, Mr. Capozzello.
Yes, Madam President.
Just would like to update council on the work around City Hall. 2 weeks ago, we started the cement work and replaced the front sidewalks. That's being done. We are now continuing and finishing up tomorrow with the side on Pershing and the curb replacement. So that's gone along very well. The grant program, we just finally received our first 2 commercial buildings for downtown, 2 requests for that, so we're excited. That's still available, so please, downtown businesses, if you'd like to take part of that, information's on the website, or you may call City Hall for more information. And the residential sidewalk grant is still available, so please, city residents, check that out on our website. Had a meeting yesterday down in Lisbon for our CDBG grant that we received from the Port Authority. We received $100,000 to help pave New Garden Road and Mullins. That's a $365,000 project, so we appreciate the Port Authority and consideration they gave for that. Franklin Street project continues. I know it's a challenge for our residents on that. We appreciate their patience, but it is on schedule, and I think we're a little bit ahead of schedule on that. It will continue to be a challenge, but we're working through it. Contractor's doing a fine job for us. The street paving project, we will be having a pre-con meeting next week, and that will be starting, I think, sometime in June or July. We'll have a firm date once that meeting takes place. That's what I have for this evening, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Faber.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Cavazello, I don't have a question. I want to apologize to you. I did not intentionally leave you off the email address. I just tried
No
to get
apology
everything done.
necessary.
Well, I wasn't trying to hide it. And I did get the press notified, so we made the Sunshine Law, but I didn't get you notified, and I apologize.
Not a problem.
If you could just really speed up the Franklin Avenue project, that would be great.
For those residents
Driving
that
over
live
a
there,
curb.
just be careful. Just be careful. Thank you.
Thank you. Utilities Director, Mr. Donnelly, I didn't know if you wanted to speak tonight. You can say no if you don't have anything, but you're, okay. Parks Director, Mr. Franks.
Thank you, Madam President, Mayor, and council members. It is with glee and happiness that I get to introduce my new Parks and Recreation Supervisor. The Recreation Supervisor is here with us this evening. She happens to be back in the corner. Her name is Kelly Pastor. She has been here with us for about 2 weeks now and has been doing a great job. Very happy to have her on board. She has a master's degree of art in communications and leadership from Gonzaga University in Spokane, Washington. She has a business management and human resources management degree from American Military University in Charleston, West Virginia. Her certifications include diversity, equity, and inclusion from the University of South Florida, and religion, conflict, and peace from Harvard University, so she has been around. I think she's actually lived overseas in Morocco for a little while at one point, so. And as if that's not enough, she also teaches Italian to some local school students and is a local official track, a local track official. So I'm extremely pleased and happy to have Kelly on board and a member of our Salem Parks and Recreation Department. I have no doubt she's going to be a great asset to the Parks Department in the city of Salem and the community in whole. So if you have any questions for me, or if Kelly's interested in taking any questions, we'll accept them at this time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Report of the standing committees, the Finance Committee, Mr. Knoll.
Thank you, Madam President. The Finance Committee has not met, therefore I have no report.
Thank you. Public Services Committee, Mr. Zellers.
Thank you, Madam President. I have no report.
Thank you. Residential Committee, Mr. Pleggy.
Madam President, my committee has not met. I have no report.
Downtown Committee, Mr. Newman.
Thank you, Madam President. My committee has not met, therefore I have no report.
Thank you. Rules and ordinances, excuse me, report, Mr. Stockman.
Thank you very much, Madam President. My committee did meet on April 25th at 6 o'clock, and I would like to read the minutes from the meeting into our minutes. Again, that Rules and Ordinances Committee meeting was on April 25th at 6 o'clock. The members present were myself, Andrew Knoll, Dennis Pleggy, Mayor Cindy Dickey, Fire Chief Scott Mason, Jeff Ollinger. I called the meeting to order to discuss 3 items in the ambulance ordinance. The first item was to remove number 701.03 when an ambulance company is participating in the ambulance rotation system is called directly for a medical emergency by any client, consumer, or other non-city dispatch personnel. Said ambulance company must notify the Salem Dispatch immediately and directly for the proposed dispatching of first responders if said ambulance company response time will exceed 5 minutes. It was decided to discuss that issue with the law director and to make sure that it didn't violate HIPAA, because that was the concern. The second issue discussed was the ambulance review board. Currently, members are made up of the fire chief, police chief, and safety services director. I suggested that a representative from each of the ambulance companies be in the rotation, be on the board. The fire chief did not feel the representative from a private ambulance company should be on the board, especially if there's a complaint being discussed about their company. He would rather see a private citizen on the board. After discussion, it was decided to add a health commissioner to the board who also has medical knowledge. Mayor Dickey stated she had made it clear to all ambulance companies to contact the service safety director with any issues or complaints so he can set up an ambulance review board meeting. Third issue discussed was to remove the city ambulance from the rotation because they go automatically. Mr. Stockman stated this was the intention when the committee met in March, but he mistakenly included it in this ordinance. Mr. Stockman stated that he supports the fire department. If they have any other questions regarding this ordinance, please get in touch with him. Motion was made and passed to revise the 2 issues on the ordinance. Mr. Stockman will contact the law director, and I did. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Safety Committee, Mr. Faber.
Thank you, Madam President. My committee met this evening at 6 o'clock. We discussed also the ambulance situation with the fire department, and the minutes will be read into the meeting next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Economic Development, Mr. Dano.
Thank you, Madam President. My committee has not, has not met, and I have no report.
Thank you. And Committee of the Whole, Mr. Knoll.
Thank you, Madam President. Committee of the Whole had a joint meeting with Columbiana on Tuesday, May 9th, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. Present from Salem City Council was Andrew Knoll, Steve Faber, Ron Zellers, Jeff Stockman, Dennis Pleggy, and Jake Gano, as well as Mayor Cindy Dickey, Director of Public Service and Safety Joe Capizzello, Law Director Brooke Zellers, and Auditor Betty Brothers. Present from Columbiana City Council, President Skip Liston, Clerk Deanne Davis, Ted Souter, Ann Becker, Dan DiTillo, and Richard McBain, as well as Mayor Rick Noel and City Manager Lance Willard. Sod Center members present, Jock Buda, Joe Haborka, and Executive Director Julie Needs. Julie Needs welcomed everyone to the joint meeting between Salem City Council and Columbiana City Council to discuss a commercial building department. She explained that for many years there has been difficulties dealing with the state. After years of research and discussing different ways to start a building department, it was proposed to have 2 cities collaborate to develop and oversee a building department that will help growth in both communities. The Sod Center will create a new entity with the municipalities. Elevate Building Solutions LLC will be created and have the following personnel: building official, back building official, plans examiner, building and electrical inspectors, permit tech. Individuals for these positions have committed and will be signing employment contracts. These are all very experienced individuals and will be able to provide each city with a commercial building department. The Sod Center will house and retain all records. The software program, IWORQ systems, will be able to track both communities and provides users status of projects. Salem already uses a module already. What is required? Applications must be submitted with an ordinance that will create the department, a resolution requesting certification of the building department to enforce the rules of the board, and a resolution authorizing a non-residential building department to enter into a contract with a firm or corporation to do their plan approval and inspections. The fee structure / funding, $25,000 per year would be needed from each community to get started and support staffing for the first 3-year contract. Fees will be established by each community, but would keep to state fees. 3% of total permits issued goes to the state, which will be built into the fee schedule. Salem and Columbiana would be paid 10%, and the sod center will retain 90%. The idea would be the building department would become sustainable in a few years. Time of performance, inspections would be completed within 48 hours, and plan review turnaround time within 14 working days. Mrs. Need stated she would like to have everything submitted to the state for their June monthly meeting. Once the state approves, there is a quick turnaround time on the applications. The state is very much in favor of communities establishing their own building department. After approval from the state, council will have another ordinance adopting the fees in Ohio Commercial Code. With most of the requirements already complete, the hope is to be up and running by this summer. Once the department is developed, contractors must deal with our department and can no longer go to the state. State requires using the building departments in your community. Multiple pending projects have been waiting until this department is developed due to the length of time projects take going through the state. Anything that has already been submitted to the state has to stay with the state. Both mayors agreed this is a unique opportunity and would be advantageous to work together and take advantage of this for our communities to make it affordable for each of us. Mr. Knoll asked for a motion to forward ordinances / resolutions to council for consideration. Motion was made and passed 6-0. Mr. Liston asked for a motion to forward ordinances / resolution to council for consideration. Motion was made and passed 5-0. The meeting was adjourned at 6:15 p.m. That concludes my report.
Thank you. For second and third reading of ordinances tonight, Mr. Stockman, you have ordinance 25.
Madam President, I move that the clerk read ordinance 23041825 by title only for passage.
Madam Clerk, will you please read ordinance 25 by title only?
Being an ordinance adopting and approving section 505.072 of chapter 505 of part 5 of the codified ordinances of the city of Salem regarding the tethering of animals and declaring an emergency.
Discussion on ordinance 25.
Mr. Faber?
Yes.
Mr. Gano?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Mr. Pleggy?
Yes.
Mr. Stockman?
Yes.
Mr. Zellers?
Yes.
Ordinance 25 has passed. Mr. Gano, you have ordinance 26.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the clerk read ordinance 230418-26 by title only for passage this evening.
Madam Clerk, will you please read ordinance 26 by title only?
Being an ordinance accepting for annexation into the city of Salem approximately 10.939 acres of real property located at 1584 Depot Road from Perry Township and designating zoning thereof as M2.
Discussion on ordinance 26.
Mr. Gano?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Mr. Faber?
Yes.
Mr. Zellers?
Yes.
Mr. Pleggy?
Yes.
Mr. Stockman?
Yes.
Ordinance 26 has passed. For introduction of ordinances and resolution, Mr. Knoll, it looks like you have a mixture between 29 and 32.
It looks like you're right.
You're the star of the show tonight.
Thank you. Madam President, I move to waive council rules this evening, so ordinance 230516-29 may be considered.
Is there a second? Mr. Faber?
Mr. Faber?
Yes.
Mr. Gano?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Mr. Pleggy?
Yes.
Mr. Stockman?
Yes.
Mr. Zellers?
Yes.
Council rules are suspended. Mr. Knoll?
Thank you, Madam President. I move to waive statutory rules this evening, so ordinance 230516-29 may have all three readings with the emergency clause.
Is there a second? Mr. Pleggy?
Mr. Faber?
Yes.
Mr. Gano?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Mr. Pleggy?
Yes.
Mr. Stockman?
Yes.
Mr. Zellers?
Yes.
Statutory rules are suspended. Mr. Knoll?
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the clerk read by title only ordinance 230516-29 for passage this evening with the emergency clause.
Madam Clerk, will you please read ordinance 29 by title only?
Being an ordinance to establish the City of Salem Building Department and declaring an emergency.
Discussion on ordinance 29.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Mr. Stockman?
Yes.
Mr. Gano?
Yes.
Mr. Faber?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Zellers?
Yes.
Mr. Pleggy?
Yes.
Ordinance 29 has passed. Mr. Knoll.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to waive council rules this evening, so Resolution 230516-30 may be considered.
Make a point of order. Mr. Knoll, I appreciate your attempting to be very efficient, but we did discuss these at your committee meeting, so we don't need council rule suspension. We could go straight to statutory, because they came from your committee of the whole meeting.
That's right, I was testing you.
Suspend it if you choose.
No, I'm
It's
good.
not
I'm
necessary.
good. So let me retract that statement, and I move to waive statutory rules this evening. So Resolution 230516-30 may have all three readings with the emergency clause this evening.
Is there a second? Mr. Faber?
Mr. Faber?
Yes.
Mr. Gano?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Mr. Pleggy?
Yes.
Mr. Stockman?
Yes.
Mr. Zellers?
Yes.
Statutory rules are suspended. Mr. Knoll.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the clerk read by title only Resolution 230516-31, so it may have all three readings with the emergency clause this evening for passage.
Wait, we're on 30, right? Yeah. Madam Clerk, will you please read Resolution 30 by title only?
Being a resolution requesting certification to enforce the Ohio State Building Codes within the city of Salem, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Discussion on Resolution 30.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Mr. Zellers?
Yes.
Mr. Faber?
Yes.
Mr. Gano?
Yes.
Mr. Stockman?
Yes.
Mr. Pleggy?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Resolution 30 has passed. Mr. Knoll.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to waive statutory rules this evening, so Resolution 230516-31 may have all three readings with the emergency clause this evening.
Is there a second? Mr. Newman?
Mr. Faber?
Yes.
Mr. Gano?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Mr. Pleggy?
Yes.
Mr. Stockman?
Yes.
Mr. Zellers?
Yes.
Statutory rules are suspended. Mr. Knoll.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the clerk read by title only Resolution 230516-31 for all three readings with the emergency clause for passage this
Madam
evening.
Clerk, will you please read Resolution 31 by title only?
Being a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into contract and sign any and all agreements necessary for the implementation of the Salem Building Department and declaring an emergency.
Discussion on Resolution 31.
Mr. Gano?
Yes.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Zellers?
Yes.
Mr. Faber?
Yes.
Mr. Stockman?
Yes.
Mr. Pleggy?
Yes.
Resolution 31 has passed. Mr. Knoll.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to waive council rules this evening, so ordinance 230516-32 may be considered.
Is there a second? Mr. Gano?
Mr. Faber?
Yes.
Mr. Gano?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Mr. Pleggy?
Yes.
Mr. Stockman?
Yes.
Mr. Zellers?
Yes.
Council rules are suspended. Mr. Knoll.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to waive statutory rules this evening, so ordinance 230516-32 may have all three readings.
Is there a second? Mr. Stockman?
Mr. Faber?
Yes.
Mr. Gano?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Mr. Pleggy?
Yes.
Mr. Stockman?
Yes.
Mr. Zellers?
Yes.
Statutory rules are suspended. Mr. Knoll.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the clerk read by title only ordinance 230516-32 for all three readings for passage tonight.
Madam Clerk, will you please read ordinance 32 by title only?
Being an ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety to sell one used 2016 Ford Police Intercept K-9 unit, one used 2017 Ford police intercept and one used 2015 Ford Explorer through govdeals.com.
Discussion on ordinance 32.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Mr. Stockman?
Yes.
Mr. Gano?
Yes.
Mr. Faber?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Pleggy?
Yes.
Mr. Zellers?
Yes.
Ordinance 32 has passed. Mr. Zellers, tonight you have resolution 33 and 34.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd ask council for a motion to suspend council rules so resolution 33 may be introduced this evening.
Is there a second? Mr. Knoll?
Mr. Faber?
Yes.
Mr. Gano?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Mr. Pleggy?
Yes.
Mr. Stockman?
Yes.
Mr. Zellers?
Yes.
Council rules are suspended. Mr. Zellers.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd ask for a motion to suspend statutory rules so that resolution 33 may have all three readings this evening.
Is there a second? Mr. Stockman?
Mr. Faber?
Yes.
Mr. Gano?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Mr. Pleggy?
Yes.
Mr. Stockman?
Yes.
Mr. Zellers?
Yes.
Statutory rules are suspended. Mr. Zellers.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd ask that the clerk read resolution 33 by title only with the emergency clause.
Madam Clerk, will you please read resolution 33 by title only?
Being a resolution authorizing the Ohio Department of Transportation to plan and pave State Route 9, State Route 14, and State Route 173 in the city of Salem, and authorizing the mayor to enter into any contracts to comply with project requirements and declaring an emergency.
Discussion on resolution 33.
Mr. Zellers?
Yes.
Mr. Stockman?
Yes.
Mr. Pleggy?
Yes.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Mr. Faber?
Yes.
Mr. Gano?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Resolution 33 has passed. Mr. Zellers.
Thank you, Madam President. I have a question on this.
Better ask phone a friend over here. Phone a son.
No, it's a general question. How's come we're just now putting this out for bids when we only have 10 and a half months left out of the 2 years?
Because we had to wait for the plans to be completed by the engineers. Believe me, nothing happens fast enough.
Right. Go back to you, Madam President. I asked for a motion from council to suspend council rules so resolution 34 may be introduced this evening.
Is there a second? Mr. Newman.
Mr. Faber?
Yes.
Mr. Gano?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Mr. Pleggy?
Yes.
Mr. Stockman?
Yes.
Mr. Zellers?
Yes.
Council rules are suspended. Mr. Zellers.
Thank you, Madam President. I ask council for a motion to suspend statutory rules so resolution number 34 may have all three readings this evening.
Is there a second? Mr. Faber.
Mr. Faber?
Yes.
Mr. Gano?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Mr. Pleggy?
Yes.
Mr. Stockman?
Yes.
Mr. Zellers?
Yes.
Statutory rules are suspended. Mr. Zellers.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd ask that the clerk read resolution 34 by title only, including the emergency clause.
Madam Clerk, will you please read resolution 34 by title only?
Being a resolution authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety to advertise for bids and enter into contract for the preparation and construction of the Salem Lincoln Park project and declaring an emergency.
Discussion on resolution 34.
Mr. Zellers?
Yes.
Mr. Stockman?
Yes.
Mr. Faber?
Yes.
Mr. Pleggy?
Yes.
Mr. Gano?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Resolution 34 has passed. Mr. Stockman, you have ordinance 35.
Madam President, I move that the council suspend council rules so that ordinance number 230516-35 can be considered tonight.
Is there a second? Mr. Gino?
Mr. Faber?
Yes.
Mr. Gano?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Mr. Pleggy?
Yes.
Mr. Stockman?
Yes.
Mr. Zellers?
Yes.
Council rules are suspended. Mr. Stockman?
Madam President, I move to suspend the statutory rules so that ordinance number 230516-35 can be read for the first, second, and third readings tonight.
Is there a second? Mr. Newman?
Mr. Faber?
No.
Mr. Gano?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Mr. Pleggy?
No.
Mr. Stockman?
Yes.
Mr. Zellers?
No.
Consideration that statutory rules were not passed, they could only receive one reading this evening.
Mr. Stockman?
Madam President, I move that the clerk read ordinance number 230516-35 by title only for its first reading.
Madam Clerk, will you please read ordinance 35 by title only?
Being an ordinance modifying and amending Chapter 701 of Part 7 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Salem regarding ambulance services and declaring an emergency.
Pleasure of council, Mr. Knoll.
Thank you, Madam President. I have nothing this evening.
Mr. Gano.
Thank you, Madam President. There's a couple in attendance tonight, but I do want to thank the Salem Fire Department for a phenomenal job. We had a pretty nasty fire at one of our manufacturing facilities off of West State Street, and they got the fire extinguished before it broke through a wall and did some pretty devastating damage to the rest of our facility. So thank you to you guys. Great job.
Mr. Newman.
I've had a number of meetings over the last couple of weeks with folks from the SOD Center, DSP, some different entities that volunteer their time in our community. In preparation for a very busy summer, I'd just like to thank the folks who devote a lot of their free time and extracurricular time to making sure Salem's a safe and fun place to be. And with that being said, I hope that we can continue to hear their concerns and address their needs as they continue to come up and be engaged collaborator when and where we can be.
Thank you. Mr. Stockman.
I don't have anything tonight.
Mr. Pleggy.
Just like everybody know that the Super Cruise is gonna happen this year. It's a milestone to plan this thing. It's just a huge project, and I thank everybody who's volunteering for it and everybody that got involved with all the meetings that I have to make this happen. This is gonna be a great cruise again for the city of Salem.
Exciting things I heard.
No, I'm not fighting the kangaroo.
Thank you, Madam President. I have nothing to say.
Thank you. Mr. Faber.
Thank you, Madam President. I have nothing this evening.
Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.
Sounded bad.
You said that while we were in a meeting, so it's going to the paper.
It goes on record, right? And I put it on, didn't realize.